Good morning to all. Welcome back to our course on the C programming language. So we'll continue the same topic of file handling in C in today's session also. And the topics what I am going to discuss under this file handling under today's session is I'm going to deal with file handling functions. In the previous session we have seen the different functions or predefined functions which are used to deal with the files, right? Like fopen, fclose, fscanf, fprintf, ftel, fseek, everything we have seen. But from this session onwards we are going to discuss the in-depth of these particular functions, and in this particular session I'm going to deal with only two functions. The first one is fopen and the second one is fclose functions. We'll see the syntax of this fopen, fclose, everything we'll see, and we need to discuss a lot on this fopen function. Of course fclose is just a simple topic which we can close it in just 1 or 2 minutes, but fopen we need to discuss a lot, so please concentrate. And coming to the fopen command, as we know that this particular command or this particular function, we can say it as a function, this fopen function is used to open a file, We have seen various steps in processing the files, right? The first step is to create a stream, second step is to open a file, third step is reading and writing the contents onto the file or from the file, and the final one is fclose, that means closing the file. So before opening a file you need to create a stream by just declaring the file pointer. We have seen that step also, right? So any file operation, the first step is you create a file pointer like this. So fp becomes the pointer to the data structure file, and it is going to create a stream, and that stream is being used to deal with various operations, right? So fopen is used to connect the physical file and the stream. This is very important. So whatever you have created in the first step, that is pointer to the file or the stream, whatever you have created, now in the second step, by making use of this fopen function, you are going to link this stream with the physical file that is present in the secondary storage. So assume that this is secondary storage and this is my file, and when you use this fopen function you are going to link this stream with the physical file. And the syntax for opening the file is we make use of the function fopen, and this fopen function accepts two parameters. The first parameter is the file name, the second parameter is the mode. And coming to this file name is any valid file name you have. You can deal with .txt, .dat, dat stands for data file, and .bin also you can make use of it, nothing wrong in it. Any file you can take, right? We have seen two types of files, one is .txt file and the second one is .bin file. So you can make use of this file, any text file or bin file. And remember that this file name is not a single file name. You can give the path like this. So this is called as the absolute path. Why? Because when you start identifying a file from the root node, then it is called as an absolute path. And you can also give the relative path also. Relative path in the sense you are going to identify that particular file from some relative position, maybe not from the root node or root directory. When you start identifying the file from the root directory, we call it as absolute path. And when you start identifying the file from some relative directory, we call it as relative path. This we are very much familiar with the Linux operating system. Right. So when you come across this absolute path, so I am going to deal with lab.dat file. .dat means nothing but data file. And this lab.dat is present inside this my files folder, and this my files folder is present inside this C drive. So this is called a path. We call it as a path. So the file name, you can directly give it as a lab.dat. You can give like this, or you can give the file name also, or path like this. When you give the file name, what is the difference between these directly specifying the file name and specifying the absolute path or relative path? Is when you give the file name, direct file name, the mandatory thing you should follow is this lab.dat file should be present inside the same folder in which you are saving this particular program. For example, this is my computer and this is my folder. Let me say that my folder. And in this folder, I have lab.dat file, and I am storing my C file, whatever it may be, file operation.c. This file is also saved in the same folder, my folder. So if both the file which you are going to give as input to the fopen and the program file, both of them are present in the same folder, then you can directly specify the file name. But in the second case, when you want to specify the path, that means this lab.dat is not present in this my folder. Assume that there is another folder called X, and this lab.dat is present inside this X. So in such case, you have to specify the path under this file name. So I can give it as c:\x:\lab.dat. So the path you are going to specify when the source file and the data file are different, are stored in a different folders. And you are going to specify the file name when the source file, that means .c file, and the data file, both of them resides in the same folder. So this is the important difference you should understand. So the file name is an appropriate name for a file on the computer which you are going to work on. And the second parameter for this fopen is the mode, very important thing. So mode indicates the type of stream. The mode indicates the purpose for which you are opening the file. Whether you are opening the file for reading purpose, or whether you are opening the file for the writing purpose, or whether you are opening the file for the append purpose, all these things will be specified under this mode. So simply remember, the mode is nothing but it specifies the type of stream, or it specifies the purpose of opening the file. So we have different modes which we need to discuss clearly. Basically we have only three modes: R, W, A. R stands for read mode, W stands for write mode, and A stands for append mode. When you want to open a file for reading the characters from the file, you specify the mode as R. And when you open the file for writing the characters or for writing the contents onto the file, you have to open the file in the write mode. And similarly, when you want to open the file for writing the characters, that too for appending the things, you should open the file in the append mode. So you should understand the difference between write and append. Both of them are used to write the characters. You can see here. But when you open the file in the write mode, whatever contents that are present in the file up to that particular point of time will be completely erased, and the file pointer will be pointing to the first position. But the append mode is a mode where the old contents are kept safe, and whatever new content you are going to add, that will be added as the last sentence or the last string, whatever it may be. So append mode is not going to disturb the previous contents, whereas the write mode is going to completely erase the previous contents. So this is the difference between write and append, very important. So let me explain it with a diagram. Let me say that this is my file, and let me say that there exists a string called I am good. If I open it in the write mode, what happens is everything will be erased, and the file pointer is pointing to this location. For example, I want to add I am from India. So this is my new text, I want to add it to my file. This is lab.dat file. When I open it in the write mode, previously whatever data I have, that is I am good, will be erased, and the file pointer will be pointing to the first location, and whatever data you want to add, that will be added as a new text from the starting position, like this. But if you consider the append mode, let me take the same file in the next one. So it is lab.dat file. Previously I have I am good. So when I open it in the append mode, whatever contents that are present inside the file lab.dat will remain as it is, and whatever text you want to add, that will be added. So the file pointer will be pointing to the end location here. So when you want to add the files, it will start adding the content from the file pointer. So the new text will be added as I am from India. Therefore this is called as appending. Appending means adding new text to the already existing text. Writing means erase the previous text and add the new text. This is the important thing you have to understand. So read mode is used to open the file when you want to read the characters. Write mode is used to open the file when you want to write the contents, and the existing data will be erased. And append mode is a mode where you want to open the file for writing the characters, but the old contents will not be erased. So new data will be appended to the existing text. Other than this, we have so many other modes like RB, WB, AB. Listen here that this, if we observe here that RWA are related to .txt file, text files, and this RB stands for open a file, that to binary file for reading the contents. WB stands for writing the open a file for writing the contents when you are dealing with the binary file. And similarly AB stands for opening a file which is binary file for appending purpose. So all these three modes are going to deal with the binary files. Right, we will see some more examples or some more modes also, like we have R plus, and we have W plus, and we have A plus. These are the three different modes other than this RB, WB and AB. So R plus stands for read and write, read plus write, and W plus stands for read plus write itself, and similarly A plus stands for read plus write, that is append. So these are the three different modes we have. Similarly, for dealing with the binary files, we have RB plus, WB plus and AB plus. So these 6 modes are dealt with the binary file, and R plus R, W plus W, A plus A are going to deal with the text file. And till now we have seen the syntax of fopen, which consists of only two parameters. The first parameter, remember that you should not change the order also. The first parameter is always the file name, the second parameter is always the mode. And what happens if the fopen function is executed successfully, and what is that going to happen if the fopen fails? So fopen, if it is successful, it will return a pointer to the file, and if it is failed, it will return a null value, right? So this fopen command fails, it is going to return null. This is a special value we have. And if fopen is successful, then it is going to return a file pointer that means, that is the reason why in the first step of processing the files, we write it as file star fp, that means we are creating a file pointer. And in the second step, I can make use of the fopen function. Let me say the file as some lab.txt, and let me open it in the write mode. Whatever mode you use, that's a different case. And this fopen function should be assigned to the pointer of type file star. So I can assign like this: fp is equal to fopen of lab.txt, comma double. So these two steps are common for any file processing, and the remaining things, it varies whether you are going to deal with the integers, whether you are going to deal with the characters, or whatever it may be. It's different, but these first two steps are common for every file operation. You should be very careful about this mode. When you want to read the characters, always specify it as read mode. When you want to write the characters, specify it as write mode. When you want to deal with the appending processing, you open the file with the append mode. So be careful while making use of these modes. So fopen is going to return a value of type file star, therefore I am assigning it to fp, that is nothing but a stream connected to this specified file. And if it fails, it will return a null value. So fp will be having the null value if it is going to fail. So why fopen is not going to work, or why fopen is going to fail means there are few reasons. One of the reason is, when you want to open a file in the read mode, and if the file does not exist, that means you are trying to open a file that does not exist, which is a failure. It cannot open a file which does not exist, so it is a failure. And second one is, if it is unable to create a file in the append mode, that is also considered to be a failure case. So in these cases, the fopen is going to return a null value which is going to be stored inside the file pointer. So we are going to go deep into the discussions of different modes again. So read mode, open text file in the read mode. This is very important, right? What happens if the file exists, and what happens if the file does not exist? For example, let me say that I have a file lab.txt. If this file exists, and if I want to open it in the read mode, what happens? And if the file does not exist, and if I want to open it, what happens? These are the two things we have to understand. We are going to discuss now. When you want to open the lab.txt file with the read mode, and if the file exists, it will simply open the file, and the pointer, the file pointer will be positioned at the beginning like this. This is start of the file. And if the file does not exist, this will an error. So we have seen in the previous slide what is the condition for error to happen for fopen. So if we want to open a file in the read mode that does not exist, it will be an error condition. So this is under read mode. What happens in the write mode? In the write mode, you are going to open the file for writing the contents, and if the file exists, it will open the file, contents will be erased, and file pointer will be pointing to starting location. And the second one is very important. When you try to open a file in the write mode and the file does not exist, it does not show any error. It is going to create a new file. Very important. Next, what happens in the append mode? When you want to open a file in the append mode and the file exists, it is going to open the file, leave the contents as it is, and the file pointer will be pointing to the end of file at the last position. And if the file does not exist and when you try to open it in the append mode, then it will create a new file. So these two things are very important. So whether you when you try to open the file that does not exist either in the write mode or the append mode, it is going to create a new file. That is very important. So if the file does not exist, it is created. Similarly, if the file does not exist in the append mode, it is created. But if the file exists in the write mode, it will open the file, but the contents will be erased. But in the append mode, if the file exists, the file is open and the marker is positioned at the end. But there is only one error condition here. That means if the file does not exist in the read mode, then error will be returned, and if the file exists, the marker is positioned at the beginning. Let me show it diagrammatically. So this is my file, and as I told that this EOF is end of file marker or end of file pointer also you can say. It indicates the end of file. So this green content is the actual content of the file, and when you reach the end of the actual contents, you will have this EOF pointer like this. When you open the file in the read mode, open the existing file for reading, and the file marker or the file pointer will be positioned at the starting point here. This is my FP. And when you open the file in the write mode, open new file for writing, and the previous contents will be erased and the file pointer will be pointing at the starting position. This is my FP. And in the append mode, open existing file for writing or create the new file, but the file pointer will be pointing to the last location, and whatever new data you are going to add, that will be appended to the already existing data. So these are the three important modes which I have shown it diagrammatically. We have explained it clearly in the previous slides, but we have explained diagrammatically. As I told that, additionally we have R plus, W plus and A plus, where R plus stands for open for reading and writing, but the pointer is going to be start at the beginning. W plus is also for reading and writing, but it is going to overwrite the file. So most importance is given to W, whereas in R plus importance is given to R. Similarly, if you go for this A plus, append plus, you are going to open the file for reading and writing, but more importance is given for appending the data. So already existing data remains as it is, and new data is going to append for the file. And other than this, we have already discussed that we have RB, WB, AB, and RB plus, WB plus and AB plus to deal with the binary files. Since we are not going to deal with the binary files, we are just skipping the things. Remaining content remains as it is. So what are topics we have discussed with regard to R plus, W plus and A plus, everything remains same except we are dealing with the binary file, whereas R plus, W plus and A plus are going to deal with textual files. And after open, the third step from the steps to process the file is read or write. Let us postpone our discussion on this read and write for the next session. And the fourth step is closing a file. So once you deal with all the files, you have to opened it, you have read or write, or you have done some processing on the file, and finally as a final step you have to close the file. And one particular function which helps in closing the file is fclose function, a very simple function which has only one parameter, which is nothing but the pointer to the file which you have created in the first step, which you have used in the second step for fopen. So in our example, if you continue with the previous example, if I want to close my file lab.data, I am not going to give the file name. Why? Because I have created a stream and I have linked that stream with the fopen with the original file, and any operation I want to perform, I will be using the file pointer only. So this is how I can close my lab.dat file. Right. So when we require this closing a file, is one scenario is when you exit from the program. That means whatever you want to do, the processing on the files, you have completed it and you want to just close the function. So as a last statement, you can give this fclose function. And in the second case, remember, very important point, that when you want to deal with files, always remember that you can open the file in only one mode. That means you can open the file either in the read mode or write mode or append mode, or R plus mode or W plus mode or A plus mode. But you cannot open the same file in two modes like R and W, W and A. This is not possible. So only one mode is possible with the fopen function. And when you are done with that particular file, with that particular function, or with that particular mode, you can close it and you can open that file in another mode. For example, if I want to deal with both the read and write operations on my file lab.dat. First of all, I want to write the contents on lab.dat, and the second step is I want to read the contents from the lab.dat. Let us assume that these are the two steps I have to perform. So in the first step, what I will do is I will create the file pointer, very simple step, and then I will use the fopen function lab.dat, and I opened it in the write mode. So I write some contents onto this file. So this is first step. After writing the file, since it is open in write mode, you cannot read the contents. You cannot append the contents. When you want to read the contents, you have to first close that particular file. And after this, the second step is you have to make use of the same pointer fp, and you have to make use of fopen, and you use this lab.data file and you open it in the read mode. And after completion of some steps here, you close it with fclose of fp. So when you want to deal with a file in more than one mode in the same program, this is important. Dealing a file with more than one mode in the same program, you always have to close the previous mode and then you have to open the new mode. Always remember that no file can be operated in two modes at a time. So in these two cases, you can make use of this fclose function. Very simple thing. And this is the syntax I told, that fclose of file pointer. This file pointer is the stream which you have opened in the earlier lines of code using this fopen. And fclose also returns two values. 0 value will be returned if it is a success. If it successfully closes the file, it will return 0. Or else, if it fails, then it will return a special value which is called as EOF, which stands for end of file. So successful 0, unsuccessful EOF. That's it. And this is a small program which gives the idea about how to open a file and close a file. So this is my main function. I am not including the header files. Only header file that I need to include is #include stdio.h. In the main function, the first step I have created is the file pointer, and my file pointer name is the stream. This stream plays very important role. And if stream is equal to fopen of lab.data, and I am opening it in the read mode. Why I have given this if function is equal to null means fopen function may be successful or unsuccessful. If it is successful, it will return the pointer of type file star, and if it is unsuccessful, it will go to return null value. So if stream is equal to null, then unable to open the file. So I am just printing the error message. To know whether the file has successfully opened or not, I am just making use of this syntax. And after reading and writing in the file, I want to close it. If fclose of, see here I have used only one pointer, file pointer. If fclose of stream is equal to EOF. EOF means fclose will return either 0 or EOF. 0 if successful, EOF if unsuccessful. So if it is unsuccessful, then it will print error closing the lab.data, just to print the error messages. So this is all about what I would like to discuss under this session, that is fopen and fclose. Before closing, let me quickly wrap up the things what we have discussed. In today's session, we have started our discussion on the file handling functions. We have seen the syntax of fopen, which consists of two parameters. One is the file name and the second one is the mode. The file name can be the direct file name, or it can be an absolute path or relative path. The direct name can be given if the source file and the lab.dat file resides in the same folder. Otherwise, if they reside in different folders, you have to give the path of the file. And coming to the mode, we have three different modes to discuss specifically, that is read, write and append. Read stands for opening the file in the read mode, write stands for opening the file in the write mode, and A stands for opening the file in the append mode. So fopen, if it is successful, it will return a value of file star, or if it is unsuccessful, it will return a value, special value, which is called as null. And we have seen the reasons for failure. One is when you want to open the file that does not exist in the read mode, and another one is when it cannot create the file in the append mode. So these are the three differences we have seen for the read, write and append, if the file exists and if the file does not exist. If the file exists in the read mode, if the file exists, it will open the file and the marker will be positioned at the beginning. If the file does not exist, it will return an error. And in the write mode, if the file exists, it will open and the contents will be arranged and the pointer will be pointing to the first position. And if the file does not exist, it will create a new file and the pointer will be pointing to the first location. And in the append mode, if the file exists, it will open and the contents remain as it is, and the file pointer will be pointed to the last position. And if the file does not exist, it will create a new file and the file pointer will be pointing to the first location. So we have seen it diagrammatically also, and we have seen the additional modes like R plus W plus A plus, and then RB, WB, AB, RB plus, WB plus, and AB plus, like this. And finally, we have discussed the importance of the close function, and we have seen two scenarios when we can close the function. One is at the end of closing the program, and the second one is when you want to deal with the same file in different modes in the same program. We have seen the syntax, and we have ended our discussion with a simple program on how to open a file, how to create a stream, how to open a file, and how to close a file. That's all for today's session. Thank you one and all for joining the session.